The views and opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily those of this station, JVC Broadcasting Management, or its sponsors.
With so many people living longer, the fear of outliving your money becomes a reality for many of us. Will I be a financial burden? Will I outlive my money? How will I be remembered? My name is Neil Himmelstein, president of Main Street Planning Group. Please contact me by visiting mainstreetplanninggroup.com. That's mainstreetplanninggroup.com, or call 631-647-4694. I will introduce you to strategies that will guarantee you will not outlive your money, that can guarantee you will not be a burden on your loved ones. Through a collaborative approach, we will uncover solutions that offer tax-efficient strategies, lifetime income, and legacy planning, choice, organization, direction, and education. That is the code we stand behind. Contact mainstreetplanninggroup.com, that's mainstreetplanninggroup.com, or call 631-647-4694. And listen to me every Friday at 3 p.m. as I host the Main Street Code for Financial Success, right here on 103.9 LI News Radio. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Main Street Code for Financial Success. I'm your host, Neil Himmelstein, and today is a lovely day, and when we talk about our code, we talk about choice, organization, direction, and education. And we work with hundreds of advisors across the United States, whether they be CPAs, attorneys, other financial professionals that use us as an insurance wholesaler, as well as you, in helping you in your insurance needs, whether it be life insurance, long-term care, disability, or fixed annuities. And I must say, at this time, you have an amazing opportunity to take advantage of with these high interest rates. The annuity rates are crazy right now, and you can lock in money around 4.5%, 5% all day long today. It's not going to be around forever. Take advantage of this high inflation rate. Take it if you have money on the sidelines, or you have money sitting at 1% accounts. Please take advantage of these high rates today, and not look at it negatively. Look at it positively as being able to sell that. So today we are very fortunate to have with us a guest as Tricia Taitt. Say hello, Tricia.
Hi, everybody. How are you?
Good. Now, Tricia is a CEO of FinCore, which is a boutique CFO services company, fractional CFO service company, which we'll get into in a second. And she helps small businesses throughout the United States with extra CFO things. Now, Tricia, very quickly, explain to me exactly how you help your clients and exactly what you do.
All right. So, as you mentioned, CEO of FinCore, we are a boutique outsourced or fractional or part-time CFO services company. People use different terms. And what that means is that at a certain stage in a business's growth life cycle, they need additional financial help or financial consulting support. So usually business owners start off with a CPA to do tax reporting, tax planning, and maybe a little bit of bookkeeping. As the business grows, there's a need for more intense financial record keeping, and so they tend to hire bookkeepers, either most likely internally. So they'll have a CPA and a bookkeeper. But at a different level, and I usually find that at the place where small business owners are at $500,000 or $1 million in revenue, they start to need somebody to do strategic planning, projections. They ask questions around, how do I increase profitability? How do I manage cash flow? I need help or support accessing capital. Should I increase my pricing? How do I better my margins? When you start getting into those kind of strategic financial situations, that's when you need a CFO, or someone who has a specialty in finance, but who also can oversee the accounting and make sure that the books are right and the financial statements make sense. So that's how that's when we tend to come in, and you need them a fraction of the time. You don't need a full-time CFO. So that's usually when we come in, and I can dive in more into different specific client scenarios where we've added value.
No, that's fantastic. And I can tell you as a small business, and there's many, many small businesses that listen to this show and everything else, that a lot of times you're really focused on revenue growth and doing these things, but you need another pair of eyes. You need somebody to say. Somebody asked me the other day, Neil, your business is growing so much. What percentage growth did you have last year? What was the percentage growth you had 2 years ago? I have no freaking idea, to be quite candid with you. It's just been growing and doing fantastic because I'm focused on the business. I'm focused on servicing my clients and servicing my agents. That's where my focus is. I don't really take the time to count or to see or to analyze my business or to know what's the most profitable side of my business. I think that's key to what you just said, is where are my profits and where am I wasting time? Doesn't a CFO do stuff like that?
You're exactly right. You're doing exactly what most business owners do. They focus on the top line.
Right.
And there's a quote that I use often, that sales is vanity, profit is sanity, and cash flow is reality. And a lot of times I have business owners saying, yeah, I made $1 million, but where did it go? I can't even, pay myself at the end of the day, or I can't make this bill, or I can't make payroll. And that's because they're not paying attention to all of these different costs that sneak in and tug at your business. And then especially if you're in a service-based industry like you are, you can lose sight of the fact that they might be unpaid invoices, people pay you late, and so then there are cash flow issues. And at the end of the day, if you don't have you could have $1 million in revenue, but if you don't have cash to keep the lights on and keep the engine going, then it's a problem.
Huge problem. And this is why we need other people. And, my business is always challenging. Do I hire another person? Do I hire a third person? Do I hire four? Every time you hire somebody, well, maybe I only need them part-time. Maybe I need, and one of the great things I did with my business when COVID hit is I had another employee that I could see wasn't working out, but I hired an outside source to handle a lot of the things that person was responsible for. They did it better. They did it a la carte. So I didn't need to keep the resources of having a full-time CFO on the books or a full-time marketing company on the books. I was able to outsource that piece of my business. Now, outsource doesn't mean I'm hiring somebody from out of the country. It doesn't mean that. Outsource means that there are tasks that can be done more on an a la carte basis to benefit me on my time schedule. And that's what an outsourced CFO does. And Tricia's one of the best. And I want to talk a little bit more about Tricia. She is a unique person. Not only does she do that, but she is a best-selling author. She has a new book out called Dancing with Numbers. Because, Tricia, tell us about your dancing background and your number background. I think you got a phenomenal story.
Thank you. Well, I'll start by saying this. I love math and I love the arts, the performing arts, particularly dance. And usually the two sides of the brain don't come together. And it was really hard to figure out how can I indoctrinate both sides of who I am into my life. I started off in finance, and because I love math, I went to a business school. I went to Wharton undergrad. I majored in finance. I worked on Wall Street for about 6 years. I got an MBA at Duke. And I was loving dealing in accounting and finance, but not necessarily working in corporate. When the recession hit in 2008, I lost my job in 2009, and I wasn't sure I wanted to go back to corporate. But at the same time, I got a wonderful opportunity to dance with a dance legend. And I just took that time and that opportunity to step away from corporate finance and focus on pursuing Broadway. And so I pursued Broadway, ended up in a Broadway musical called Fela. And simultaneously, I started dancing with a company based in New York and have been dancing with them for 15 years on the side. So I'm a semi-professional dancer. I have an Actors Equity union card. And simultaneously, I started doing financial consulting, just sort of freelancing for performing arts companies, because they realize, oh, you love this stuff, but you also like the numbers, which we don't love. And that started to grow into a regular practice and working with clients. And then in 2016, I officially started my company, because I saw the need for CFO level services or mindset for, like I said, businesses at a certain stage in growth. And so all of my clients at this point are for profit. Most of them are service-based industries, though we have like bakeries and, but organically grown businesses primarily. And I love what I do. So, dance feeds my soul. And so the book Dancing with Numbers came as a result of a similarity that I see between dance and finance, in the same way that a dancer has to strengthen their physical core to be at peak performance. A business needs to strengthen its financial core.
Absolutely.
To be at peak performance.
Oh, you're just an amazing person. And Tricia, how can people get a hold of you if they want to reach out to you?
If they want to reach out to me, my website is FinCore Strong, FinCore strong.com. That's also our handle on Instagram. And then my name is Tricia, Tricia. Last name is Taitt on LinkedIn, and emails Tricia@FinCoreStrong.com.
Fantastic. And we're going to be right back after a couple commercials. Thank you. Welcome back to the Main Street Code for Financial Success. I'm your host, Neil Himmelstein, and if you need to reach out to me, 631-647-4694, or you can always look at me online at themainstreetcode.com. That's themainstreetcode.com, or 631-647-4694. And today we have as a special guest Tricia Taitt. Tricia was here. If you missed it before the break, Tricia is a outsourced CFO, boutique industry. She specializes in working with a lot of women entrepreneurs. She's got an incredible business background and say semi-pro. I thought you were a pro, but a pro dancer, which is very unique, and best-selling author. And Tricia, you just were telling me before the break that tell us a little bit more about the book and how you came to write a book about what you do.
So thank you for that. So the book is called Dancing with Numbers, Grow a Financially Healthy Business and Choreograph the Life That You Want. It's available on Amazon, published it last year, and it is a culmination of a lot of the teachings that I do for small business owners and client situations. So as I said before, bringing in my professional dance life and my professional life as a finance person for the past 20 years, I saw a similarity in that, in the same way that dancers strengthen their physical core to be at peak performance, business owners must strengthen their financial core. And I recognize that every client, every business that I've ever spoken to, usually the financial department is the weakest link, whether they have $250,000, $1 million, or even 15, 20 million. I've come into companies and that is the weakest part of their business. And that's usually because they either, whoever set up the system did not set it up properly in the beginning. They don't have the right professionals with the right expertise. They don't have the right systems. There's no checks and balances between the systems. So I saw all of these issues. I saw that there were also major issues in terms of cash flow management and poor credit and debt management, and people not understanding like the profitability of their business and how to increase the profitability. So I wanted to bring those financial elements and teach people how to improve those things in their business. But I also recognize that a lot of business owners are not financial people, and the numbers are scary. So I wanted to use, I do use dance in order to lighten the mood. I use dance metaphors. I use, sort of like musical references, just to make the conversation around finance light and energetic and fun, because math and numbers can be fun. And another thing that I did to make it very interesting is I interviewed about 12 business owners, and I shared their stories, their journey of how they went from being a non-numbers person in the beginning of their business to ultimately what I call dancing with their numbers, growing multi-million-dollar businesses, selling businesses. But all of these stories are super inspiring. I could talk way more about it, how I laid it out. The 3 different sections are in alignment with dancing. One section is called stretch. It's more about getting your mindset right. The middle section is about strengthening the financial core. And then the third part is about how do you soar to peak performance? How do you get beyond just baseline profitability? And, once you've met let's say your 5-year revenue goal, how do you get to the next level?
Right.
So that's a little bit about the book.
So what you do for businesses is humongous. And where we fit in is a lot of times as a business, as you're growing the numbers, you need to also protect your business. You need to make sure that your business has a succession plan. You need to make sure that if you get sick, that you still have income flowing in. Cash flow is so huge. Wouldn't you say cash flow is like the major thing? So what happens if you get sick? How are you going to continue to have that cash flow? That's why we have disability insurance. That's why it's so important when you're growing a business to have these different elements, and we bring in different elements into your business that may be missing. It's very hard. It's very easy, I would say, to be very myopic when you're growing a business. And it's very difficult to stop back and look at your business from the outside in and from the inside out. So people like Tricia are people we work with to help you succeed and make your business explode. But we also are very cognizant of protecting your business in case you get sick, in case something happens to you. How is your family going to continue to have an income if something should happen catastrophic? So those are the areas that we cover. And with Tricia and having great outsourced CFOs, it just complements everything you're doing. And any business, as I tell you every week, or any family, you need a team of professionals to help you. So professional 1, yes, you need a CPA to do your taxes. Professional 2, you may need a lawyer for legal things. But you need a CFO for your business, and you need the insurance and the protection, and you need somebody to quarterback all of this, which is what we do, is we help coordinate the attorney, the accountant, the CFO, so that you're all on the same page, so they work as your team. If you don't have a team of professionals that are working for you, but you have a bunch of individuals going in 7 different directions, that's a problem. You want your team to work for you, so we can help coordinate your team to work for you. So Tricia, tell me some other great things that you've done with companies and how you've grown your business. I think it's fascinating. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so very interesting. 2 things I just want to touch on that you mentioned. Actually, what's interesting is I see myself as the quarterback, right? Because if you come into any company, and you also talked about risk management, it's important to have certain people on your money team, and a lot of people don't budget for a bookkeeper or a CFO, right? They just kind of prioritize sales and marketing and all these other things, but they don't prioritize the money team until there is an issue, and then it becomes even more expensive to fix the issue. And I like to see myself as the financial officer within a business, as the person who is bringing in all these other elements to make sure you ultimately manage the financial health of your business, right? And so I have connections to bankers. I have connections to payroll service providers. I have connections to insurance brokers like yourself. All of this I see is it's important to know and have people on your money team. And usually all of these different vendors and aspects come through and have to get approval from the CFO or the COO or the CEO in the business. But the COO and the CFO are usually the closest people to the day-to-day operations and know what's needed within the business. So I wanted to touch on that. And where that showed up really crucially for a couple of clients is one client that I worked with. They had significant tax issues with with regards to payroll because they were unfortunately misclassifying contractors and independent contractors and employees, something that we see a lot with small business owners. And so I ended up having to work with the CPA to figure out how we can potentially reduce this risk and reduce the payroll, the tax liability, and then set up the system internally so that, there's a more seamless payroll system. There's checks and balances in terms of the managers approving hours and then that being submitted to payroll. So I had to institute another system altogether, and then making sure that we had a bookkeeper that knew proper accounting so that they can account for payroll separately from the independent contractors and freelancers.
Terrific.
So that was an example of how, as a CFO, I alleviate certain situations and I bring different professionals together to make things happen.
That's amazing. And Tricia, if they want to get a hold of you by phone or something, do you have a phone number they can reach you?
Yes, but it's better to reach me by email. I would say at Tricia@FinCoreStrong.com, TRICIA .FinCore, FinCore Strong, FINCORE strong.com, and I'm on LinkedIn.
Fantastic. And thank you for joining us on the show. And again, Neil Himmelstein, 631-647-4694. I'm here every Friday at 3 o'clock, or you can catch me on Spotify or Apple if you miss an episode, or check out my website at themainstreetcode.com. Thanks again, everybody. Have a great day.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily those of this station, JVC Broadcasting Management, or its sponsors.